we start, where are they, Sonny?
They are all here and here.
Please explain who
I
they
wanted
are.
to mention that members of the National Bar Association are here. It's the oldest black bar association, lawyers. It's our annual convention. I've been a member since 1994. It was founded in 1925. So if I get anything wrong, I got a bunch of lawyers in the audience that can help me out. So thank you.
And a judge, too.
And a judge, too.
And a judge.
Yeah.
And I see Carl Douglas here of OJ fame.
All right, well, some of this ought to make y'all just leap up.
We're going to have to sound smart today, I think.
No, they know. So former Senator Al Franken tells the New Yorker magazine that he regrets bowing to pressure from other Democrats to resign before a Senate Ethics Committee could investigate the allegations of sexual misconduct against him. And he's upset with the people in his party who told him to step down. Now, the question is, did he make the wrong move? Or, did he do what he needed to do at the time he needed to do it?
Well, I've said before that I thought he needed due process. I mean, he just left, and nobody even gave him, some kind of a trial. I don't know.
No ethics, the ethics committee, yeah.
No, nothing. I mean, the guy just was, like, forced to resign without any kind of, and, if you read the story, some of it is, I mean, the other thing about it is that it was kind of a political hit in many ways. He was very much effective in questioning Jeff Sessions, which forced him to resign, and Betsy DeVos, he was after her. So he was a big target, and a lot of the things that she told us, Tweeden, the girl who accused him, the woman, I should say, some of it has some holes. It doesn't mean that I'm saying she's lying, but there are some holes in her story which should have come out in the. You have all these lawyers here, right? That's the way to do it. And then he apologized immediately, which didn't work. That never works, apparently. Did Trump ever apologize for any of these sexual assaults he's been alleged to have done?
But the piece only focuses on Leanne Tweeden, who everyone knows, at least I think during the time, that she's a friend of mine.
Right.
It doesn't talk about the 7 other women who accused him of sexual misconduct, 2 while he was a sitting senator. The problem with him staying in office would be, imagine him questioning Brett Kavanaugh at the time, which, by the way, the writer who wrote this article, Jane Mayer, wrote a 2018 piece about allegations of Brett Kavanaugh that has been panned because the only corroborating witness in the Kavanaugh article said that he had heard the story from someone who had been there, but that person said they didn't remember it now. That was her article about Brett Kavanaugh. So it's very tricky, and I want you to go back in time and remember, it would be very uncomfortable for Democrats if Al Franken were sitting there questioning Brett Kavanaugh at the same time. And the article only focuses on Leanne. It's not focusing on these 7 other women at the same time. And I don't think that Me Too and sexual assault should be about which party you vote in the general election.
Well, according to him, those allegations were part of his personality, the way Biden has been able to get out of those accusations.
But I wouldn't compare his allegations to Biden.
Well, they disappeared the minute he resigned. That was the end of them.
Yeah.
It's just suspicious in itself. But Biden has been accused of being too touchy-feely, and Franken says he is too. And I'm here to say that has to stop on both sides. That has to stop. But this is the same thing that Biden says, and you're okay with that?
No, no woman that I'm aware of has accused Joe Biden of kissing her without him, forcing himself kissing her.
Nobody corroborated
There's also no pictures of Joe Biden putting his hands on a woman's breast that I'm aware of.
She was wearing a flak jacket. The problem with that was she was sleeping, and he admits that was wrong. It was nowhere near her actual breast.
The thing is, there is a dispute as to what happened. There does seem to be some holes in the story, and I think the problem is that he wasn't afforded any due process. He resigned 3 weeks after the accusations came forward, and he was calling for an ethics investigation. I always do tend to, because I was a sex crimes prosecutor, err on the side of believing women, and I think for far too long we haven't believed
We're happy to believe them, but at least give them a day in court.
And that's the thing. We should believe women because the incidence of false reporting is very low. It's between 2 and 10%. So when women...
But the thing is, Whoopi,
he didn't get due process.
No.
He didn't get due process.
I also would have been fine with due process. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with her article.
Due process to me is a must.
Yes.
Because this is what happens. People, we talk about witch hunts, or he talks about. That's a witch hunt. Because the Me Too movement came up, and everybody said, there was no space to say, well, wait a minute, let's talk about this. I think, and I know, and hold on to your emails and your texts. Okay?
As if you read them anyway.
Well,
But she gets them.
I get them. But the Central Park 5 is big to me. That's a big thing. Tawana Brawley is a big thing because people took themselves out. And it's a small percentage, but you don't want your son to be the one that's being accused without getting due process. Unless you have it.
Can I say one thing,
Let me just finish that. Unless you have due process in this country, we will be facing stuff that you can't even imagine. Somebody will say it's them and they're gone. You can't do that. You must follow the law. Everybody, you must follow the law.
Yeah.
But I also think journalists should do their job, and it looks like Jane Mayer had a totally different experience reporting on Al Franken than she does Brett Kavanaugh. And that's my biggest problem. I mean, other than this obvious allegations of sexual assault.
What did she say about Kavanaugh?
She said the corroborating witness in the Kavanaugh article, I said it earlier, she had heard the story from someone who had been there, but that person said they didn't remember it now. So I just want us to hold everyone to the same standard of due process.
Well, listen, here's the thing. I can only talk about this. I don't know what her thing on Brett Kavanaugh. I haven't read it. But this I saw happen, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like the excuse. I know.
And let's remember, Brett Kavanaugh did get due process.
Right.
Did he
but
not?
Al Franken didn't get it because he pulled himself out.
Let's talk about that when we come back.
He was pressured.
Later, Mueller's moment. Democrats are hyping that the former special counsel will show evidence that the president's guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors. But could his testimony turn out to be a dud?
Hey, welcome back. So we were talking about Al Franken and the time, and let us not forget that Kristen Gillibrand came right out and said he's got to go, and then all the Democrats got right on the board and said, you got to go because we can't be seen as being tainted this way.
Well, it had to do with also the timing of it was not good for him because the Roy Moore allegations were out at that time where he allegedly had stalked or
with young girls,
with the 14-year-old girls, and so the Democrats had to take the high road over that.
Well, they wanted to take the moral high ground, I believe. They wanted that to be the narrative, and many of those same senators were quoted in Mayer's article saying that was one of the biggest mistakes of my career.
Right.
But Gillibrand has doubled down and said no, has said no, he should have, resigned, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. He should have
We're saying
had
that he didn't get due process.
He should have gone through the right channel.
But Gillibrand doubled down this morning on it. And she said the same thing I was saying, that there were 7 other people accusing him. And I'm just telling you what she said.
No, I'm hearing.
She also he was accused of groping a woman in 2003 and then groping another woman at a Media Matters party, Tina Dupuis. So there are other allegations. It's very testy for me to have Joe Biden's name in any way in this kind of conversation like it was brought up before. But just one final thing with Gillibrand, she's tanking in the polls right now. This clearly wasn't the political payoff for her. I don't know if she did it for politics or not, that she thought it would be. She's between 0 and 1%.
Everybody who steps in doo-doo should take responsibility for it. You stepped in it, you tried to do the right thing, it backfired. It backfired on us. So maybe if we do it the right way, maybe all those steps are there for a reason. Maybe the ethics committee is there for a reason to investigate this kind of stuff. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Certainly, we say yes, or, if the commander-in-chief can't be, brought up on charges. But, let's be realistic. There are lots of mistakes that have been made here, and some mistakes get smacked harder than others.
Yeah,
that's the inequity.
There's this equivalency that goes on all over the place. And by the way, Al Franken, if you're watching, please come on the show and explain all of this. The American people.
Kristen Gillibrand also, when she came on here, when we asked her about this, I had asked her about, but just soon, I think it was 6 months before, she had been campaigning with President Clinton, who obviously has been accused of many things, including rape, and she didn't seem to have a problem fundraising with him. So her background on all of this is also, she's a little hazy.
Listen, everybody's sitting in the pot. Everybody is sitting in the pot.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay?
this very president was accused of rape
Of many-
just recently. at Bergdorf Goodman.
And it didn't even make one news cycle.
You know what? Here's what it did do. It pissed everybody off at the table.
Yeah,
How is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fair.
And in the country.
We'll be right back.
Oh, you can still feel the Oprah effect at viewyourdeal.com. We partnered with vendors for at least half off her latest batch of favorite things. So get to viewyourdeal.com now.
So, let's talk about this. Are you ready for your crisps?
Yes.
Okay.
So our friends at Pretzel Crisps put together a snack pack filled with 3 fan favorite flavors, along with their new salty and sweet Drizzlers line that will be a hit at every summer party you throw this season. And guess what?
What?
Members of our studio audience are getting some in a tote bag. People are very excited up there. So you can buy more of your favorite flavors. Now, I've never had a pretzel crisp, but apparently they are fantastic.
They're very good.
I've never had them, but I'm going to have some.
Oh, yeah, no, they're good. They're good with little kids. Little kids love pretzel
I can't
crisps.
wait to taste these.
You know, I never talk about anything. Little kids, that's a great way to get their attention. Pretzel crisps. And they're like, ooh, and they stop doing stuff.
I had no idea.
But you know, there's some Democrats are expecting a lot from former special counsel Robert Mueller's testimony tomorrow. Yeah. But House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler says he believes Mueller will show evidence that you know who's guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors. But what do you actually think you're going to hear from this? What do you think actually is going to happen? I know people want him to do a recitation like he's in church or something.
Well, how about asking direct question? So if the president were not the president, if he was just an ordinary citizen, would you charge him with obstruction of justice?
Yes.
And if the answer is yes, then that is a high crime and or misdemeanor, whatever you want to call it. The lawyers will tell you.
But they can't do it.
Why
right?
can't they say that?
Well, because if Mueller says, listen, I told you what to do. I told you we didn't feel we could do this because he was a sitting president. That's what that
policy.
15-minute thing was.
That's why.
And it's like, so now they want to see him say.
But that's the great thing about this.
Yeah.
No one read the Mueller report. I read it.
Except for you. Yeah.
I read it. I know a lot of lawyers in the audience read it. I don't think Congress read it. I don't think a lot of members of Congress read it. But I think that's going to be what's wonderful about it. I think the American people are going to be hearing this for the very first time. And that was a game changer, you told me, Joy, during the Nixon era.
Yes, it was.
When people finally heard it. People watch television, and they will actually hear it.
What
I think it will be.
What I don't understand, why does Barr, the Attorney General, get to send him a warning letter? He doesn't even work for the FBI anymore. He's not even in that in that position. Why doesn't he tell Barr to take that letter and shove it where the sun don't shine?
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
He is a private citizen now. How dare he tell him what to do?
We're preempted tomorrow, so we won't be here tomorrow, guys, because the Mueller hearing's going to be there. I'm making chili. My cousin Joe's coming over, and I'm going to watch it, okay?
Oh,
so
yeah, everyone's going to watch it.
But I will say that I think we should be prudent, as we always try to be on this show, that it might not be the smoking gun we all want it to be. Again, because Mueller has come out saying he didn't want to testify. I don't know if there's going to be anything different in the report that came out. Am I talking? I don't know what's happening. I never understand what I'm saying that's wrong.
Nothing. You're not saying anything wrong. Just I need you to go a little bit faster because he's waiting for me to go to break.
She can't talk any faster than she does already.
We'll be back. In next week's second round of Democratic debates next week. Yes. And here with his plan to be heard on that crowded stage, please welcome back Beto O'Rourke.
I like that. That's great. Good choice.
All right, son.
So, bienvenido.
Gracias.
Bienvenido. That was your campaign song?
That was,
yes.
Yeah.
And
you've Baba O'Reilly.
That's right. You've relaunched your campaign since the last time you were here back in May. How are you feeling?
I feel great. We just came off the road in Iowa. We were in Sioux City and Sioux Center and Council Bluffs, just being with people, knocking on doors, having town hall meetings, house parties, talking to people in bars and diners and cafes and out on the street. There's so much great energy out there. We have so many good supporters, and we're building our team, the best possible campaign staff we could have in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Nevada, across the country. So I feel extraordinarily fortunate to be part of this amazing movement.
Well, Congressman, not too long ago, you were a huge rising star. You were on the cover of Vanity Fair. We talked about it on the show. You have a lot of Obama bros working for you, all the Wonder Kids that used to work for Obama. You're polling at 0%. You're trailing Marianne Williamson in the important state of New Hampshire. Your fundraising numbers have gone down by 1/3. This isn't great for momentum. Why do you think it's cooled?
You know what? That's not what I feel when I'm on the ground in
But facts
Manchester
are stubborn things.
and Nashua. But I think you know that at this time in many presidential races, you had folks who were down in the polls, counted out, left for dead, who through their persistence and their courage and their tenacity and the amazing people who comprised their campaign rose to help lead their party and ultimately the country. And so I think
Obama.
Well, and like Senator John McCain, who is one
his
of my
campaign full on imploded. Yes,
one of my heroes. And I'll tell you what, I think the American people want a president who can move through the tough times. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, but to be consistent in what you're focused on, which is delivering for this great country, going everywhere, not writing anybody off, including everyone in the solution. That's what we're all about. And I got to tell you, I feel great when I'm with people, listening to people, and being with our supporters and our volunteers. Yeah.
Democrats seem to be unified in their outrage over Trump telling the 4 freshman congresswomen of color to go back to the countries they came from, which led to a crowd chanting, "Send her back, send her back," when he was attacking Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a rally last week. Will this be a campaign theme for him in 2020, you think?
I think it's not just Democrats who are outraged. It's Americans, especially Americans of good conscience, because this is not an anomaly. A president who described Mexican immigrants as rapists and criminals, who said that the Klan were very fine people, who sought to ban all Muslims, all people of one religion from this country, called the press the enemy of the people. This is the road to fascism and tyranny, and 243 years into this experiment that we could choose our leaders and the direction of this country, it has never been so imperiled or undermined as it is now. This is our defining moment of truth, and I call upon Republicans and independents and Democrats alike to stand up and to be counted for this country, not against Donald Trump necessarily, but for the best traditions of this country and for a better future of this country. And we're going to reject that racism and that bigotry and that smallness and be defined by our ambition.
On your side, obviously. But I saw something this morning that said that his approval ratings went up since he's been attacking these women verbally. So I don't know. The speech you just gave might be just blowing in the wind. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the strategy on the right is to totally paint the Democrats, as we hear or talk about every day, as a bunch of socialists, big spending socialists who are not patriotic. I mean, how are you going to go up against this machine that he has going of lies and mendacity?
We're going to talk about him and his enablers who are in Congress right now as the extremists who cut a $2 trillion tax cut when we were already $21 trillion in debt, to the wealthiest, to corporations who are sitting on record piles of cash.
By the way, today I just read that he wants to cut food stamps for what, 3 million Americans? Yes. Look it up.
He wants to cut the Meals on Wheels program that is the sole source of calories for countless Americans. We met a woman in Wichita Falls. She said not only is Meals on Wheels, keeping me alive, but the person who delivers it is the single human being I will see over the course of the day.
Yes.
When he touches my shoulder before he leaves the door, it's a single human contact I will have. We've got to stand up for her. We've got to stand up for people who are counting on us right now, and we've got to stand up against that kind of extremism, whether it's the racism.
You're talking about Trump supporters, comparing them to Nazis in Nuremberg. That sounds extreme to me as well. So when Democrats come on here and wax poetic about extremism, I'm not saying Trump isn't doing it, but you're calling everybody that was in that North Carolina rally a Nazi. So you have to understand, from my standpoint, it seems like the left is pretty extreme in that end as well.
No, I'm not calling everyone who was
You
in that
compared
rally.
his rally to Nuremberg and his reporters to Nazis.
Asking for women of color to go back to their own country and then connect it with everything else that he's doing, the press as the enemy of the people, that there is only one path that will take us down.
What about his supporters, the people in that room at that rally?
We all have accountability for our actions, and everyone who shouted to send them back is responsible for that as well. And you're going to have to win over some of these people that voted for Obama and then voted for Trump again. And for me, I did not support it. We spent a whole week decrying that. And you have to understand how it looks for people in the middle, thinking that maybe I don't agree with everything the left is saying, so automatically you're Nazis. We're on the same page, Meghan. I went to every one of the 254 counties of Texas. King County voted for Donald Trump 96% in the last election, but I went there because they're every bit as deserving of our respect, of our attention, of being heard, of being fought for, and being served. And by going there and showing up with the courage of my convictions, but also a willingness to listen and to learn, we brought them into the conversation. And at the end of the day, not only did we win more votes than any Democrat in Texas history, we won independence for the first time in decades. 500,000 Republicans voted for a Republican for governor and voted for us for Senate. When we don't write people off and bring everyone in, I say no me importa. I don't care who you voted for last time. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or a Republican. You're an American first before you are anything else. And I call you to this country's greatness. Let's get out there and achieve it.
Okay. We'll be right back with more with Beto O'Rourke and his wife, Amy O'Rourke.
Okay.
Hey, we are back with Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke, who's joined by his wife, Amy, for their first national interview together. Go for it.
So, Amy, lovely to have you. You have 3 children. I have to read this because I can't remember this. 8 years old, 11 years old, and 12.
Yes.
So I could assume that, you know, Beto's running must have been a big decision for you. I mean, he's going to be away a lot, and, you know, and you're home with the kids. And in fact, I heard you started to cry when you heard he was running. Is that true?
No. I didn't cry. I did cry in about 2009 or 2010 when I was pregnant with Henry, and Beto said, I think I want to run for Congress.
Oh, for Congress.
Out of the blue. I did cry then. But took some time to think about it. He decided to run in the next cycle. And I think what, for me, the fear was that he would go to D.C. and he would change and he would become this different person that I didn't know. And then he was elected. He served 6 years in the House, and he was the same. He was a great husband, an incredible father. And so in 2016, when President Trump was elected, it was a very easy decision to come to say we needed to do something, and we were going to run for the U.S.
But I heard that you read Michelle Obama's book,
I did.
Becoming, in preparation, and were you at all taken with the fact that it was difficult, the campaigning process?
Oh, you know, when I read the book, the first half was amazing. I loved hearing about her early years. And then as soon as it turned to the campaign, my stomach turned because you know, she was a working mother. She was on the road 2 or 3 days a week, and just, she is so strong, brilliant, and she made it look so easy. But in the book, you could tell that it was a real struggle, and so, yeah, it was, you know,
tough.
It was
Not
tough.
easy.
Yeah.
I remember you putting the book down one night when we were in bed together and looking over at me and saying, what in the hell are we about to do? And yet you helped to make the decision to do this because you know that the future of this country is at stake. But she's an amazing person.
Well, Amy, the last time your husband was here, we asked him about some things that he had said about your family. He said that he, quote, sometimes helps raise your kids. It didn't go over well with a lot of working moms. He mentioned you weren't thrilled with those comments yourself. Sonny and I said it's lucky that he's not married to either of us.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like for you?
You know, so it wasn't that I was upset with him because anytime he had said something like that, what I think, it probably just didn't come across the right way, but I think what he was really just trying to illustrate was that it is tough for me to be at home, and I think he was trying to acknowledge that in his own way. And if I didn't feel his appreciation and his love and his support, then I probably would have been upset by a comment like that. But I think one of the things that I have always loved about Beto is that I was such a shy person growing up, and he, from the very moment I met him, had just such a strong belief in what I could do, and has filled me with so much confidence that I never had before. Wow. And so comments like that just are not reflective of our
Are you on the trail together a lot right now?
So our kids are at camp.
Oh, yeah.
So we get
Summer camp.
10 days together.
That's nice.
Which is very rare.
I know. I've had it too. My kids are away. It's like a honeymoon again.
So yeah, we'll get some time on the road, and then we'll get to be at home this weekend together.
Wow. Well, Amy, ¿hablas español también?
Sí, hablo español.
Sí, ¿y sus niños?
Sí, mejor que nosotros.
And Beto, you and Amy recently revealed that you are both descended from slave owners. After you found out, apparently you had a really long talk about it. What did you say?
You know, I've been listening to people about our national story and the foundational racism that defines not just early America, but where we are today, where there's 10 times the wealth in white America than black America. 2.3 million behind bars, disproportionately comprised of color, disparities in education and outcome, a maternal mortality crisis that is 3 times as deadly for women of color, but learning that our ancestors had owned other people and had helped to create a system that some people in this country have benefited from.
Was that quite a shock?
White America.
Many people.
And others have been held down by.
Yeah.
And that persists today. Yeah, it made it very personal for us. But if anything, it renewed the urgency that we feel around making sure that there is repair in this country and that we do not visit this same kind of injustice on future generations.
So then how do you feel about reparations?
Yeah.
We need to move forward on repair. Sheila Jackson Lee, extraordinary member of Congress from Houston, Texas, has authored a reparations bill that would convene a national conversation, telling stories like ours, telling stories like those of the people here in the room today, to make sure that we know the full national story. How did we get to this place? It is not by accident. It is by design. Only when you've had that story can you as a country decide on the next steps and actions that we should take. So,
And it's
yes,
not just slavery, it's Jim Crow, it's a lot of things.
segregation,
Yeah.
suppression, convict
Redlining,
leasing.
redlining.
Yep.
One of the worst
Conversation that
things.
needs to be had.
Well,
That's
how
why I
about
always ask
maybe
the
they need
question,
to-
everybody.
Maybe they need to pay attention to the books that they're teaching kids with. Maybe
Yeah.
that's
That's
a place that you
Yeah.
can start.
That's right.
You know,
That's why I asked the question.
I'm just saying.
Into that.
You know.
Right.
So, very, very quickly, I wanted to do a speed round, but
I don't-
favorite date
do
night?
You have time? You don't know?
Do we have a
Yeah.
favorite date night?
You can't.
First date, Kentucky
No.
Club, and Sila
God,
Flores.
bless
There
you.
we go.
You done?
That's it, yeah.
All right. Thanks to Beto O'Rourke and Amy O'Rourke. Not my fault. We'll be right back.
Thank you all.
Why does Kofi Siriboe say the unforgettable grapefruit scene from the hit comedy Girls Trip was a dream come true for him? He's live on The View. Next.
Kofi Siriboe is one of the stars of the series Queen Sugar, but his stardom skyrocketed to a whole new level thanks to the most talked about scene from the blockbuster comedy Girls Trip. You know which one I'm talking about. Please welcome Kofi Siriboe. acting.
Ladies,
He's been
we have
acting.
to interview him.
Yes, they know who he is. But he's been acting since he was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? But a lot of people know you from that infamous grapefruit scene in Girls Trip. This is a daytime show, so I'm not even allowed to elaborate on what happens in that scene. We can't even show any of it. But you played Jada Pinkett Smith's love interest in the movie. She's getting herself some cougar love. That's what I'll say. And apparently that was a full circle moment for you because you had a crush on her growing up.
I mean, who doesn't? Who didn't?
Right? I know.
That feels like ages ago. I mean, I saw her in Jason's Lyric and I just fell in love.
Wow.
I mean, I have so much respect for Will Smith and like for them to like, you know, they just represent black people and that family they've always represented, you know, everything. And I mean, Jada's beautiful.
Yeah.
She's beautiful, she's confident, she's charming, she's funny, she's sexy, she's everything. She's what my wife will be one day.
Oh. Wow.
So, you know, you had to strip down basically to your birthday suit. Alluded to.
Oh yeah, just my body suit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just skin. It was just skin.
The whole bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, two things about that. Number one, I read that when you were a kid, you grew up, you said you were a chubby child, a middle child that used to wear your shirt to go swimming.
Yeah.
How did you overcome, you know, those feelings of insecurity to become the, you know, sexual god that you are today? Yeah.
I mean, to be very honest, I feel like my art is the vehicle for those, I guess, sheddings. Doing things like Girl Trip, it helps me realize that I'm not that kid anymore, you know? And like, you know, my mom watches that and I'm like, Mom, I don't think
10
you should
times she saw it.
She's seen it like 15 times. But like to her, that's her baby.
That's
It's not grapefruit guy, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's her son. But like for me, it's just, I still get over that. Some days I see myself as that same kid, but like, you know, when I get the love and I see everybody, you know, and I'm on The View and I'm like, oh, like that.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
But you're also currently starring on the hit show Queen Sugar, which is in its 4th season. It was created by Ava DuVernay
Who just
and
got like
Oprah
16
Winfrey.
Emmy nominations and stuff like that. Come on. Come on.
And this is shot beautifully also.
It's been directed by women. It's a huge hit. What's it been like working with this female-driven set?
It's like college, like female college. I'm just learning about every type of, you know, woman, you know, and there's so many facets, so many different types of women, so many different age ranges. You know, we had 20-some-year-old directors, 40-some-year-old, white, black, Asian, straight, this, that, and the other, you know? So it's just, it's college. Like, I'm just getting a full experience, and I get to see women in a different light, you know, which I always, you know, wish for.
Well, I learned this in preparing for this segment. Your fans have nicknamed you Siribe and Kofine.
They so clever, huh?
So clever. People magazine named you one of their sexiest men alive in 2017. And you share a lot of your feelings on Twitter. And this past New Year's Eve, you wrote this. Maybe my wife will reveal herself to me this year. Maybe I'll become the man I've always wanted to be. Yes, he did.
There's a lot of ladies in here.
So the question is, are you still looking for Mrs. Right? Maybe she's here in the audience.
I see husbands in the audience. Hold up.
Not over here. These are all single women in the front here.
They all single.
And they're revealing themselves to you.
I'll put it this way. Everybody took that tweet a little, it could be misconstrued, but...
And you did it on New Year's Eve.
What I meant by that is, like, I've been in relationships, I've been with a lot of amazing women, but I realize those relationships all have a ceiling until I become who I need to be. So my wife will reveal herself. It's not saying that that woman isn't already my friend, but maybe she'll reveal herself to me. Maybe she'll become the woman that also, that aligns with the man that I want to be, and we'll reveal ourselves to each other. It's real.
Yeah.
What,
Thanks
Whoopi?
to
I know you got something to say, Whoopi. You keep making that face. What face is that? What? Go ahead.
I'm revealing to you all. Have a great day, everybody. Take a little time to enjoy the view.